Good morning, adventurers. My name is Ben, and welcome to a morning show where I sit around, drink some tea, and talk about D&D. First up for T&D today, we have our You're the Greatest mug. My D&D party got this for me. That's what it was. I was trying to remember if I got that from that or something else. That is where that one came from. Inside of it, I have some peach tea. I don't have the box with me, otherwise I would show it to you. It is the Country Peach Passion from Celestial Seasonings. If you are so inclined to go and find it and try it yourself. I should hopefully be getting my D&T orders shortly, because I have gotten several confirmations. They've been fantastic and very communicative with regard to like the way that things are going. So I highly recommend at least getting them, if nothing else, for the customer service, because they've been fantastic in terms of an online vendor. But what we're here to talk about today is this here book, Journey Through the Radiant Citadel. Yay! We're talking about the full thing today. We did a first look on Wednesday. We are talking about the whole dang thing today. I've read this thing cover to cover. Very excited to get to talk about it. This is going to be... I'm going to keep it as spoiler-free as I can, because I don't want to spoil things, obviously. But it is a review, and so I want to be able to actually effectively talk about the thing. So fair warning that there might be some amount of story spoilers in this book for parts of it, but it's just the way it's going to be. That's the risk you got to take. The risk you got to take in watching this here video, listening to this here episode, whatever you want to do, or whatever you are doing. Not the point. Let's go ahead and let's crack this bad boy open, because I am very excited. The reason that I am not super confident that I'm going to be hitting on spoilers is because of the way that this book is. First and foremost, it is a setting in its own right. It's very cool. It's a cool concept, cool setting, that sort of thing. But it is an anthology book. It says in the introduction that these adventures are intended to be able to be played in any setting, any world, any scope, essentially, that you want to. So they are standalone adventures, which means that there is no like overall cohesive story for me to accidentally spoil for you, or purposely spoil, I guess, if you know what I mean. There is no like massive storyline that I am going to be unraveling in front of your very eyes here, because this is an anthology book. There are 13 different adventures in it, and they are all separate. They all stand on their own. They are connected via the central pillar of the Radiant Citadel, but that is about it. So, let's go ahead and let's dive into it a little bit. First off, let's dive into it a little bit, shall we? First off, there we go. That's what I wanted to say. And I guess technically it's second off because I had a first off already. In the like actual introduction, I found something that was very helpful in my continuing to understand the way that the book was sort of set up as we went, not set up, giving me an idea as we went forward here. In the section here on the Welcome to the Radiant Citadel page, literally pages 4 and 5 in the book, like the first actual text pages of information, it lays out a bunch of different stuff using the adventures. That's where it talks about being able to transplant them into whatever you want. Exploring new reaches, setting the adventures, new homes, etc., etc. I did really appreciate and really enjoy the fact that they put in here that you essentially should be respecting other cultures. You should be like being conscious of what you are doing at your table, making sure that it is a safe place for people to be, free to explore, to feel comfortable in pursuing these fantastical stories without, I don't want to say without concern, because that's not what I'm going for, but I can't think of the word that I actually want. You shouldn't feel the real world pressures that, nope, that's not it either. I don't know what I'm trying to say here, or I do know, but I'm not. They essentially say, hey, don't be racist in it. And I think that's good. There we go. We're going to leave it at that. They say, don't be racist, be conscious of other cultures while you're doing this. This is not a costume for you to put on. This is something that you should be using very intentionally to tell a story with great respect given to the people that are being represented in that story. There we go. My brain is a little funky right now because I have had crazy work. I'm sorry. But I was happy to see that in the introduction to a book. I think it's really, really great that they put that in there. On that same page, we're looking at this table here. This is actually what I wanted to hit on in this section. It is not the table of contents, because we have a table of contents like a normal book, but it is the more or less table of contents for the adventures, which is really great because it gives you the level that they are written for. It gives you the title of that adventure, and it gives you a short description of that adventure, which means that if you were to pick up this book and you were to go, man, I really would love to do a murder mystery during a festival, you can go, boop, 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 boop. Oh, there you go, Wages of Vice. That's the adventure for me. And it was actually very, very helpful in helping set context going into some of these. Had I gone to page 5 on my first look, I would have seen this, and I wouldn't have had to just take shots in the dark as to what each of them were going to be about based on what they were called. I wasn't, like, right by any stretch of the imagination, but I wasn't super far off on some of them, which makes me happy with that, I guess. Just real quick, gonna run through the descriptor in the intros for each of these because I think it's important. It gives you a better idea of what you can actually find in this book. Again, I'm not going to go into great detail in every single one of these. I would be talking, even if I gave each one of them 2 minutes, I would be here for almost 30 minutes talking to you guys about it. So we're gonna gloss over a lot of the stuff here, which is why I wasn't sure if there's gonna be like story spoilers in there. So levels 1 to 2, Salted Legacy, first adventure. They also go in order of level, which is very convenient. Levels 1 to 2, Salted Legacy. A conflict between rival night market vendors draws characters into a hunt for a mysterious saboteur and a series of whimsical contests. So that's a cool kind of intro. It rings similar to Wild Beyond the Witchlight in that it starts off at a carnival, like night market kind of thing, where you are playing a lot of games in the actual adventure. Actually, it is centered around games because you're such a low-level character. There can't really be combat-focused things. So that one is... That's what you get out of that one. Level 3, Written in Blood. A community is terrorized by a horror lurking in a distant farmhouse. Honestly, gave me kind of that description, at least gave me kind of like Curse of Strahd almost vibes, in that like the man up on the hill, like, or the house up on the hill, whatever you want to call it, which I think is kind of cool. The Fiend of Hollow Mine. The cure for a spreading curse leads from an abandoned mine to a city celebrating the departed. There we go. I was kind of right about that one. I think I was kind of right about that one. It's like a mystery-ish kind of thing. Wages of Vice. A murderer stalks the streets during a raucous festival. Again, more festival. Sins of the Elders. A slighted spirit takes vengeance on the community that forgot her by stealing their memories. I was wrong about this one, but I like the direction they took it so much more. I think that it's really, really cool to be able to mess around with people's memories. I love playing characters and getting to use spells that affect the minds of creatures, because it is something that you actually just can't do in real life. Like, you can make fire with like a lighter and stuff like that. I can't go into your brain and like mind whip you. So it's cool that D&D characters can do that. So I like the memory basis for that one. Level 7, Gold for Fools and Princes. Mysterious creatures cause a gold mine to collapse, precipitating a race between rival princes to save those trapped. Not what I was expecting, really, at all from that one. I don't remember what I thought, but it wasn't that. It's an interesting one, kind of like a faction-y-ish one. The way that I read it was a faction-y one, at least. Trail of Destruction. A legendary creature reawakens and begins a chain of volcanic eruptions that threaten the land. Honestly, I think that one might be my favorite one. I think it's really cool. I love the natural disaster element of it. I think that it's really cool to be able to like integrate these quote-unquote acts of God, as they would be called in the real world, into game, because it is something crazy that most of us who live, I don't know, in the center of the United States or something like that, don't really have to deal with. There's no volcanoes here. So like playing through it is a surreal kind of experience. In the mists of Manavasha, a local champion goes missing after a deadly flood, leading to search for her along the rivers of a vast swamp. Honestly, that one kind of tells you exactly what it is. Between tangled roots, rageful spirits provoke a dragon to go on a deadly rampage. This is one of the most combat-forward ones, in my opinion. It is. I mean, there's a dragon, and while there's a lot more depth to it than just go get the dragon, the gist of it is go get the dragon, right? And stop the spirits. That was the level 10 one. Level 11, Shadow of the Sun. Rival factions clash in an angel-ruled city on the brink of rebellion. Again, faction-y kind of stuff. The ability to sort of choose all these different paths is something that I really like. I think that it's cool that they're exploring that as an option more. Let's see. Level 12, the Night Sees Sucor. Quest for ancient lore reveals threats from the past and leads to a mysterious nation beneath the waves. I love hidden civilizations. If you have followed my stuff for a while, you know that I love putting cities in weird places. So this one was very, very cool to me. Berry Dynasty. Agents of a long-lived emperor seek a timeless secret to keep their ruler in power at any cost. This one is... I don't know if it read as it or because my brain decided early on that it was going to be like a government spy kind of thriller thing. That's the way that I read it, but that is what I got out of it, because you're dealing with like foreign entities or foreign powers and stuff like it. It felt very spy thriller kind of to me. And level 14, Orchids of the Invisible Mountain. Adventurers must travel to the Feywild and the Far Realm to prevent otherworldly forces from tearing a land apart. I love planar travel. I think it's really cool. I love getting to see other worlds. I love getting to see the way that people imagine those worlds. So this one was a win for me as well. One thing to note, I think, in particular about this book, and really a lot of the ones that have come out recently, and it's been a theme that I've talked about a little bit here and there, but I think that it is very prevalent in this book because these are not combat-focused adventures necessarily. A lot of them can be resolved by not fighting. A lot of them can be resolved by sitting and talking and literally never picking up a die in the entire run of the game. There are some of them that, sort of escalate to violence very easily, but there's essentially a path out of it, or many paths out of it, that don't require violence in every single one of them. Wild Beyond the Witchlight, you technically do not have to roll a single attack roll the entire time if you don't want to. You'll just get robbed in that one. But they are... Wizards of the Coast has come to understand that the direction that Dungeons & Dragons is going in is in a roleplay-centric direction. That is the way that people are seeing the game for the first time, learning it, and then populating and continuing to play it in such a way that facilitates that. Online shows have showed people that this can be a really rich storytelling medium, and so people are seeking that out in particular more than like the wargamey, number crunchy, like fight the monster kind of thing. And so with books like this, they are giving you a lot of roleplay heavy scenarios to put yourself in. And while this book and the other anthology books like oh my god, Yawning Portal and I had it earlier. What is it? Not Strixhaven, the other Candlekeep. There we go. Wow, I am out of it. I'm really sorry. Those other anthology books like this one are giving really, really good jumping off points. I was talking to a friend of mine about this recently, actually. He was telling me that he wants to try DMing at some point, and he asked me where I would recommend starting. And I gave him a bunch of suggestions, and I ultimately came down to one of these anthology books, honestly. Like, they give you a bunch of like mini campaign, mini arc, one-shot kind of adventures in them that are all self-contained. And this most recent one, this is a lot of roleplay-centric stuff. And roleplay isn't crunchy. It can be if you want it to be, but it can be stripped down to not be crunchy. Combat is inherently crunchy. And so while you could, lead with Lost Mines of Phandelver and all of that, I love Lost Mines. Don't get me wrong. but it's written as an early module in the 5th edition world, where they were still not focused on, but they were still playing more heavily into that. With the more recent additions to the books, they have moved away from that. And if you don't believe me, go back and take a look at those books. You will find that there are still stat blocks, there are magic items, there's all that stuff, but they have transitioned to telling stories that are much more like narratively focused and roleplay centric, as opposed to like defeat this other camp kind of things, which I think is actually a very smart move. I think it's a good way to go because it shows the power of the game a little bit more, as opposed to just being an engine for combat. But that's my opinion on it. I know that not everybody shares that opinion, but that's not really the point. All of that is to say, that is what you're getting out of this. You are getting 13 scaling leveled one-shots, mini arcs, that kind of thing, that are roleplay heavy. If you are looking to be a new DM, because I understand that with all of the people who are jumping on board with this, there are not enough DMs to go around most of the time. This is a great book, actually. This is a really, really good one for new DMs. This is actually a really good one for established DMs, too, because these adventures can be transplanted. You can reskin them in any way you need to fit your setting if you want to. It's a really, really cool book, and it's got a lot in here that is actually genuinely very, very helpful. Plus, for me, at least, a lot of times, even just art will help me out a lot. So, like, this image here, which I know that if you're listening to this, you can't see it, but it is a tower sort of crumbling because of a volcanic eruption, that sort of thing. Like, this kind of thing is really, really helpful to me. I think it's super great. And so I love getting these books. I love getting to read them. I think they're fantastic. And I think that this one is a really great one for new people and established people alike. And honestly, a book like this and Yawning Portal and Candlekeep it's a really good one to have on your shelf, because if you find yourself in a situation where it's like, man, I just want to run a one-shot or like a three-shot or something like that, grab it, pull it out, run it. Just run it. Like, it doesn't take near as much prep because it's such a short, contained story. And I think that's a really awesome way to do it. But that is everything I have to say on this one. I think this is a really good book. Yeah, I think it's a strong entry from Wizards. I think it's going to be vastly overshadowed by Spelljammer when that one comes out, because so many people are so excited about that. But for now, while it is still in the limelight, I think that this is a really great book. I really enjoyed it. So, moving on from that, let's talk about the shows that we have this weekend. I guess today and this weekend, actually. But generally, this weekend. First up today, we have Mayhem D&D, Off the Rails, Oxventure, Just Roll With It, The Strings of Fate, Rolling with Difficulty, World of Low, The Crown DM, and Coming Together Naturally. That is, of course, Friday, if you are watching this on not Friday. Just so I don't confuse you by just saying today. Saturday, tomorrow, we have Dice Funk and Strange Hungers. And finally, Sunday, we have Super Idols, Roll For Your Life, Grinning Griffins, Dungeon Drunks, Library of Nightmares, The Chaos Brigade, Rise of the Forsaken, Chromatic Dice, The Strawcast, High Rollers, and Tabletop Notch. That's a ton of shows. That's a ton of D&D you could just, like, shove into your weekend. Go ahead, check them out. Let them know that I sent you, because, again, someday somebody's going to say something to me about it, and I am going to really enjoy that. And who knows? If they do it, maybe you'll get a shout-out or something. I don't know. So, with all that said, that's everything I have to talk to you guys about. So, thank you so much for making me a part of your morning routine. I really do appreciate it. And thank you so much in particular to my patrons. You guys are the ones that make this show possible. If you're interested in becoming a patron, go ahead and check out the link in the episode description here. Yeah, that's all. So, with all that said, everybody, don't forget, drink tea, play D&D, and keep on rolling.